Health Secretary Steve Barclay has been confronted by a member of the public on the subject of constantly deteriorating ambulance waiting times. The moment took place outside Moorfield Eye Hospital in London. Let's take a look.
That plan for jobs has protected.
Are you going to do
businesses.
anything about the ambulances waiting and the people dying out? Well, don't you think 12 years is long enough?
Yes, and we are
12 years, you've done bugger all about it.
No.
People have died and all you've done is nothing.
That's amazing timing, I have to say. If you ever heckle a minister on camera, that's how you do it. In with a clear message, and then you go. 20 seconds, and the camera crew is smiling at each other thinking, this is dynamite. On the issue of ambulance waiting times, it's an incredibly important point that's being made, however. NHS England has a target of 18 minutes for an ambulance, yet in May, data show that the average wait was 39 minutes and 58 seconds. Data for June indicated that had risen to 51 minutes and 38 seconds. And incredibly, data for August shows that figure is now 59 minutes, 8 seconds. Of course, 51 minutes is just an average, and many have to wait far longer. But this isn't recent. Like most things relating to public services in Britain, there's a clear trend since 2010 and when austerity began. When talking about ambulance times, there are multiple categories, but the two most important ones are categories 1 and 2. Category 1 cases are those that are life-threatening. The person has stopped breathing or is unconscious. In 2010-11, the percentage of Category 1 incidents that received a response within its target of 7 minutes was 74.9%. For this class of incident, response times are worse now than they were 2 years ago. Average times have been climbing since mid-2020, and it's now a full 90 seconds longer than it should be. That's a long time when someone isn't breathing. Category 2 case emergencies are very serious. They include heart attacks, strokes, and major burns. For Category 2 incidents, 91.2% of ambulances arrived within its target, 18 minutes, in 2010-11. As this image shows, while targets for Category 2 cases were falling away by 2019, poor performance has also rocketed since 2020, and one can presume the COVID pandemic. Far from 18 minutes, the average response time earlier this year was more than an hour.
I've got a personal anecdote, and he won't mind me telling you this because I spoke to him earlier, but my grandfather recently had a stroke, and the ambulance took 3.5 hours to come for him, so that was a Category 2. And then he ended up waiting in A&E for a further 3 hours on the forecourt. He said to me, it was horrendous. I could write a book about it. He said when he saw the doctor, they said he should have gone straight to the stroke unit instead of A&E. And I think what this exemplifies is ambulances are really at the rough end of the care system. And when services up until that point are under so much stress and pressure, then of course people are going to be left until last minute. He gave me the example earlier of when he calls his local doctor, they say, if you're not breathing, go to A&E, which puts a huge amount of stress on A&E. But because the doctors are overworked, like the system is just so congested that everywhere along the system are like really bad impacts dramatically. Now, the obvious caveat for everyone Welsh listening is that I don't live in England, and this is the English stats about the English NHS. But that raises an interesting question for us, which is if health is devolved, where this kind of deadlock begins. If it's a devolved Labour administration, for example, Plaid and the Tories will say that the matter is devolved and therefore needs ministers, to get to work to solve this crisis. Welsh Labour will say that Wales is funded through an ever-decreasing pot of money from Westminster and has little to no ability to raise taxes. They'll say there's simply no money. Now, to be honest, I don't know which one of these is true. All I know is that health is devolved, and if you're stuck having the stroke on the floor for 3 hours, you're going to get angry, just like that lady. If, let's say, the Welsh logic is true, that Westminster doesn't give enough money to Wales and is killing our NHS, excuse the pun, why would that very same party advocate for being better off in the union? Something to think about.